What are the biggest challenges that you're facing in terms of bridging these digital systems and these biological systems?
There's many of the hard problems here are not the really obvious, sexy ones. In fact, actually, I realized the other week that the very first piece of writing that I put on the internet was kind of this like sophomore, literally I was a sophomore in college, but the sophomore rant about how like back in circa 2008, everyone felt like the hard problems here were understanding the neural code, and like real scientists study these like deep neuroscience questions. And it was kind of for the technicians to figure out how to get the electrodes in the brain. Whereas actually the problem is, how do you get these electrodes in the brain? And certainly the neuroscience has advanced a lot, and the neuroscience is very cool. But a lot of the problems here are things like packaging, which is a fancy term for when you place an electronic device in the body, it's going to be attacked, it's going to be degraded, it gets encapsulated in scar tissue, that neurons are pulled away from you. There's these very harsh chemical environments that try to attack and destroy your device. It's important to realize that there are no truly passive surfaces anywhere in the body. Like even bone is constantly getting remodeled and turned over and regenerated. And so when you place one of these non-regenerating device in the body, it's going to be attacked. And so now we have much better materials than we did 10 years ago, specifically things like silicon carbide, which is a really annoying material to work with, but a very good encapsulant that does not degrade in the body in the same way as these older polymer encapsulants do. It's like if you look at the history of Prima, part of like how did Pixium, the company we bought this, get here, they actually had an approved device in the, I want to say 2014, 2015 called Iris, which was a different retinal prosthesis. And it worked very differently. It had a conventional electronics package. It required a battery, but it was got on market and then was withdrawn, and it was withdrawn because of packaging failures. Basically, the device didn't have an acceptable lifespan in human patients once on the market. And that was like, they were using materials that were available at the time, which was before we figured out as a field how to work with things like silicon carbide. And that is an example of a problem that enabled Prima to work. So Prima is a full carbide encapsulation, and it should last, I mean, there's now data out to 6 years in some patients, and it should outlast these patients. It should last decades.